So this is the iPhone 11. The goal of this video is to help you decide if you should or shouldn't buy this phone in 2021. If you didn't already know, the iPhone 11 was the most shipped smartphone of 2020 until the iPhone 12 was released. So if so many people are buying this phone, should you buy it too? Well, my answer is yes and no, but more like 90% yes and 10% no. And I'll explain why by the end of the video. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the things that I think you should know before you buy this phone. If you want to skip to a specific part, I'll have the timestamps on the screen right now. Let's start with the screen. So this phone has a 6.1-inch screen, which is actually the same screen size as the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 11 Pro, and it's a little larger than the iPhone 10, 10s, and the iPhone 11 Pro. In my opinion, and from my experience, the viewing angles are not that bad. Let me show you an example of a display with bad viewing angles. This is a Chromebook from my school. You see that? Yeah, that's pretty bad. I would call this a bad display, not the one on the iPhone 11. But anyways, the screen on this phone gets very bright and very dark. You shouldn't have any problems using this phone outdoors or at night in a dark room. And most importantly, it doesn't feel like a bad or a low-res screen, at least to my eyes. In fact, the clip you're looking at right now was filmed in 720p. I honestly don't think it looks that bad. However, if I had to say something bad about the screen, I guess I don't like the bezels. They are a little bigger than I would like them to be. But other than that, I honestly think you'll be more than happy with the screen. Next, the battery. So this phone has a 3110 mAh battery, which is a nice little upgrade over the iPhone XR, which had a 2942 mAh battery. But how's the battery now? That's the real question. And my answer is pretty good. With 89% battery health, this phone is averaging about 6 hours of screen on time, which I think could be considered as pretty good battery life. If you're not gonna buy this phone brand new, I would recommend you to get one with at least 85% battery health, just to be on the safe side. But generally, the more battery health, the better it is. So in my opinion, as long as you're not a power user, you shouldn't have any problems, and you should be able to get through the day on a single charge. Now, just before I start talking about the next thing, I want you to know that in the description below, I have linked some good cases for this phone that I recommend. So let's talk about the cameras. The iPhone 11 has 3 cameras, one on the front and 2 on the back. On the back, there's a 12 megapixel wide angle camera and a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. You can shoot up to 4K at 60 frames per second and 1080p at 240 frames per second. Photos and videos from both cameras look really nice. You also get night mode on all the iPhone 11 models. Honestly, I don't have any complaints about the cameras, except I would love to have more manual controls in the built-in camera app. But overall, the rear cameras get a big thumbs up from me. And if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you hit the thumbs up button right below the video. Now, what about the 12 megapixel front-facing camera? So I don't really use the front-facing camera very often, and I didn't take a bunch of photos with it, but from the ones I did take, I can tell you that it's also really good. You can get some really good photos with it. So if you were looking for a smartphone with really good cameras, you can't go wrong with the iPhone 11. Moving on to the processor. And is this phone good for gaming? So this phone is running Apple's A13 Bionic processor with 4 gigs of RAM. In the past, I've made a speed test video comparing the iPhone XS Max to the iPhone 11. So if you want to check that out, I'll have a link in the description. So in my iPhone XS video, I said the iPhone XS can handle graphic intensive games with ease, which is true, at least as of now. However, the iPhone 11 is even better. So yes, I think this phone will be great for all games available on the App Store. You shouldn't have any problems. And obviously, this phone will also be fine for pretty much everything else. For example, calling, texting, emails, browsing, YouTube, and much more. Next, the speakers. So this is a quick one. I don't have a lot to say about the speakers. I think for a phone, they sound pretty good. They are stereo speakers, which I really like, and I think you'll be more than happy with the speakers. Also, in case you don't know, this phone doesn't have a headphone jack, which honestly, in my opinion, is not a big deal. However, if you prefer wired headphones like me, you can always use an adapter. I'll link a few in the description. So finally, let's talk about the price. So at the time of recording this video, you can buy this phone for about 650 Canadian dollars and brand new for 850. Now, I personally don't think you should buy this phone for 850 unless you really want a brand new phone. So to me, 650 makes more sense. Do I recommend this phone? Well, yes. However, I wouldn't recommend this phone if you are someone who plays a lot of games and absolutely needs good battery life. And I mean a lot of games. Or if you need a telephoto camera, or if you know you'll need a better screen. But other than that, I think for most people, this phone is perfect. Now real quick, here are some of the smaller things you might want to know before you buy this phone. So this phone has wireless charging. In case you didn't know that, Face ID is my favorite thing about this phone. It works exactly the way I expect it to work. Unfortunately, this phone doesn't have 3D touch. The design is also really good in my opinion. I actually didn't find the notch super annoying. It's IP68 water resistant, and last but not least, this phone supports fast wired charging, and I believe it's up to 18 watts. So that's it for me. If you're still watching, thank you. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please like it and subscribe. That's all. I'll see you in my next video. Later.